Hello, I'm St. Tammany Parish Sheriff Jack Strain. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Badge. The St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office consists of many special divisions. The men and women of these divisions go above and beyond their normal work duties. I'd like to show you one of those divisions today, the Dive Team. When most people hear the Dive Team, they relate it to an enjoyable sport, diving among tropical fish along beautiful reefs. Well, that's not the case here. Unfortunately, we don't have beautiful reefs with colorful fish in St. Tammany Parish. What we do have is muddy water with a visibility of about 6 inches on a good day, 0 visibility on an average day, and lots of snakes and alligators. Imagine diving in the Wrigley's on the eastern end of the parish where the currents are so strong it can tear a boat from its moorings and has holes 80 feet or more in depth. Add to that, you may have the task of recovering vehicles buried in quicksand-type mud on the bottom of our many waterways, or finding small pieces of evidence to solve a case, or worse yet, recovering a loved one of a distraught family. Diving in the dark waters of St. Tammany is no vacation. In order to accomplish this dangerous job safely, our divers have to train. Over the years, we have found the best way to train our divers is in clear water. This year was no different. We sent our dive team to Florida to train alongside of the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. We also sent our cameras along to give you a first-hand look of how and why our dive team trains in clear water.
Our dive team was here in Okaloosa County working with the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office and their personnel, as well as with the Florida Wildlife Control personnel. The idea behind this training was to get our divers into clear water. We don't have very much clear water in southeast Louisiana for our team to work in. The clear waters here in Florida allow our divers to develop muscle memory as it relates to their work with these airbags or lift bags. These things are dangerous. Our people have to develop the skill to utilize them in a total black water situation, and being here in the clear waters of the Emerald Coast of Florida allow not only the divers to develop muscle memory, but it allows the trainer to observe the deputies while they're performing certain tasks underwater, which ultimately can mean their life or the life of someone else when they're using these skills out in the field.
It's important for the dive team to continually train and to be the best that we can be, to be able to respond to a wide variety of issues that we may be able to be called to respond to, such as a vehicle in the water, missing person, evidence recovery, and these are all important things that we need to constantly train on. I compare it to, from clear water to black water, is how many times do you walk inside your house, you know exactly where the light switch is when it's dark. But you've walked into that house so many different times when the lights are on, you know exactly where that light switch is. So when the lights are out, you know exactly where the switch is. So when we're able to train at depth in clear water, we're able to gain muscle memory, and we're also able to remind ourselves that when we are in that black water situation, we can revert back to that muscle memory that we've learned through the clear water instruction and through our training.
The first dive, though, it's a tugboat called the Miss Louise that was sunk. It's sunk in about 65 feet of water. It's got probably about a 10 to 12 foot profile on it. So, but on the bottom you can get to right at about 65 feet. So the tug's probably roughly 60 feet, somewhere around there in length.
And they have a little ball on it where we can do all our,
yes, sir,
our lift bag work. When we get down to the lift bag work, we do the swap out, just kind of gather around, try not to stir up the bottom. We're going to bring some guys in. We're also going to bring Okaloosa in there to perform the lift bag work. We got the straps with a shackle, and we also have the chain. Don't fill up the bag up all the way. We got 2 extra tanks for the air. Just fill it up enough where it's up, and maybe a little bit expanded, and then we're going to deflate it, dismantle it, pass it on to the next guy.
Cross-training between dive teams is very important. You learn techniques from other teams, what they've discovered in the past. In our situation, I have a new team basically, and I'm trying to teach them how to dive properly. And these gentlemen have already gone beyond what our techniques are, and I was hoping that our team could pick up, just by watching them, some new things. They taught us lift bag operations this time. We've had some minimum lift bag training in this area, but they were much smaller lift bags and on a smaller scale. The St. Tammany Parish offered us the opportunity to watch them and how they operate their lift bags. And there's a big difference between a 5-pound dumbbell being lifted off the bottom and a 2,000-pound, in this situation, most likely be a car or something along those lines. The dangers behind that, how a diver can get either pinched in the gear itself or taken up on an uncontrolled descent to where the person may get injured in that situation. And our dive team was learning that while they were down here doing their training, and we were training from them.
It's one of those tools in law enforcement that you just have to have. People expect that when you lose a body in the water that it's going to be recovered. When you lose a piece of evidence, whether it's a gun or some other piece of evidence to a crime, you've got to recover it. And our county, just like yours, is made up of so much water that we spend a lot of time in it. And it doesn't matter what conditions, whether it's moving water or still water, swamp water or river water, or what the weather is outside, whether it's cold or hot, we've got to get in there and recover evidence and bodies at times. And the mutual benefit is that we learn things from you all that work under different conditions than we work under over here. You pull up a lot of vehicles out of Lake Pontchartrain, and learning those techniques and how to put airbags under vehicles and do that safely in murky water that you can't see in, versus, we have pretty clear water over here at times. It's a great training environment where you're able to see and give hand signals and teach people, the divers, how to be safe. And the mutual benefit is we learn from you and you all learn from us, and we use different environments to learn those techniques that our divers have to have. It's one of those tools that law enforcement has to have. I don't know that our public necessarily understands how often we're in the water recovering, whether it's a firearm or knife or clothing or other pieces of evidence, and how you grid, do a grid search on the bottom of that may not be a flat surface, that you have crevices and the like, and all the equipment that goes with that, whether it's air tanks or masks or clothing and the like. You have to do it. You have to stay on top of it. No different than firearms training. It's a high-risk occupation. It's a hazard to be under the water, and if you don't know what you're doing, then you can be a liability versus an asset.
And once it gets up to a little bit higher up, as you go up, that pillow bag is going to expand a little bit more, and what if there's a jagged piece of metal in there? It's going to hit it, purge out, it's going to rip, tear, blow. Whatever you got going up is coming straight back down. So pillow bags, what we do is we're going to put them on the outside of vehicles, and the good thing about that is we'd like to use 2 of them where we can play with the vehicle. If we want to lift this side up and then we can put it on this side, lift it up, we can bring it straight up, we can turn it around, we can spin it, whatever you want to do. But once you get it off the surface, you break that mud seal, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. You can hook it to a boat, tow it, low underwater, whatever you want to do. A lift bag is a device that we use underwater. It's a great tool that we use to lift up heavy objects. If anybody's been in the water and they try to lift up something heavy, a piece of cement, a boat motor, whatever they dropped over, you can hurt yourself pretty good. We use lift bag works. It takes a lot of the labor out of getting the object up to the surface where we can bring it over to a shoreline or a boat launch or something like that to safely extract it out of the water. The lift bag, they're rated. You can have 25-pound bags, 100-pound, 200-pound. Our biggest one's 4,000 pounds. We can lift up cars with that. And if you don't train the right way, if I can't see that they're doing the correct hookups, it can be extremely dangerous. If a chain breaks, comes loose, they shoot the bag out of the water because air expands as it's approaching the surface. As it expands, it increases speed, and some of these lift bags can be like rockets come out of the water.
The first 2 vehicles that I was able to be a part of recovering in our parish, one was in the Boguchita River, so visibility wasn't all that well, and it was a challenge. The second was the dump truck that went off the causeway with 0 visibility, and it was quite a challenge just by feel. We shortly thereafter, we came to Florida and trained, and I was able to actually visualize and to be able to see what we were doing, hooking up the lift bags, to be able to pick the cars up and move them around and shuffle them around and flip them over, to manipulate them underneath the water and to be able to see what you were doing was great. I believe probably 2 weeks after we came back from Florida, we went to the Middle River on Highway 90. Again, very poor visibility in our area, and it was a whole lot easier to perform those tasks, removing vehicles out of the river, because I could visualize it in my head what I was doing under the water. And that related back to our training, being able to see in clear water.
We've done some light work with lift bags, training, but we've never actually done any work with them. We've never actually used them to lift, so any training is good training, and it was definitely beneficial.
We do a lot of training with other agencies. St. Tammany Parish is certainly one of the ones that we use the most, and when it comes to that partnership that we've developed and relationships that we've developed, we would feel very comfortable if we were to be overwhelmed with our resources to call on you all to come help us, and we would certainly be willing to come help you all in a situation. We train a lot with our military partners. We're surrounded by military bases, 7th Special Forces Group, the Hurlburt Field, Eglin Air Force Base, Duke Field. I mean, we're just surrounded by that. So a lot of times we'll have ordnance that is found in the water, and then so we'll train with them and how to remove that ordnance and make it safe. We'll train with OSI and Army CID to, how to deal with military members that have broken the law, or maybe they're a national security risk and the like. We train with our local police departments to ensure that they have the right equipment and know when to call on us when it comes to special response teams and canine teams and snipers and the like. And so we do a lot of training with other folks. It's mutually beneficial to each agency to share information, share techniques, and without that, then you're left to your own understanding, and a lot of times that's just not enough.
The main focus of this particular training, in addition to the lift bag work, was to certify several of our divers to have them move past their advanced diving status into a rescue diver. We actually have a couple of team members that are working toward their dive master certifications. So we've got some very well-trained people. Ultimately, these are things that directly benefit the citizens of our community, because we've got not only the equipment to do the job, but we've also got the men and women who are capable of actually performing the job with those tools.
All the previous rescue exercises that we've been training, there's 10 different rescue exercises, actually 9. The 10th one is putting everything together. What I wanted them to see them do is put everything together and make it as realistic as possible, being as safe as possible. So what we did is, I already told one diver, I said, hey, you're just gonna, when I give you the signal down there, which was 50, 60 feet, it's a little deeper than what I really want to train in, but this is what we have. Once I gave him the signal, he basically just stopped moving and fell to the bottom. One diver, I watched him do a double take. It's like he snapped his neck a little bit, and it's like, hey, what's wrong with him? Okay, there's a scenario here. He realized what was going on. He pointed, he got attention of 2 other divers, pointed. There was calm down there, so a few of them heard exactly that there was an underwater emergency. So 2 divers went swimming straight to that what appeared to be an unconscious diver. And when the other 2 divers beat the other diver that noticed him unconscious, the 2 divers that swam to him grabbed him and immediately looked up, and the diver that noticed him first grabbed another diver and signaled that, and also told them that they're going to the boat and get the boat ready for an emergency. So 2 divers left to go get their gear off and get on the boat because they know that there was an emergency occurring. The 2 divers with the victim slowly ascended, and they took the diver up to the surface, as they should have, and as soon as they brought him up to the surface, they took the mask off, checked him, gave 2 safety breaths. Everyone had a pocket mask, so the diver reached in his pocket, grabbed the pocket mask, put on the pocket mask on the diver.
1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, breathe. Get in there, Scotty, we got you. 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000,
That's when they get the safety breaths. They immediately, as soon as they put the mask on, 2 safety breaths, looked to see his condition, and immediately started swimming towards the boat. And they were given, I was kind of close to him, and they were given 1 safety breath every 5 seconds as they were loosening up some of his gear. It took them a little while because they didn't use the anchor line to move up, which was something they learned. Next time, I'm sure they're going to use the anchor line because the current moved them away a little bit and made them swim a little bit harder to get to the boats, which kind of tired them out. And it's not really good to be tired out while rescuing, a victim, because there's a possibility of having 2 or more victims. So that was a lesson learned on their part. Well, being in good shape they got to the boats and handed them off to the divers that were already ready in the boats with oxygen set up, ready to go. With the divers in the boat, got the hooked up underneath the victim's arms.
Hold.
Got his gear.
Hold.
Got his arms.
Got his arm.
The divers in the water completed removing the gear, pulled in the victim.
Get in. Yeah.
Got him?
Got him.
Go.
Go to the floor.
Got his head.
Oxygen.
Get the oxygen.
Checked vitals, immediately put O2 on it, hooked up O2 to him, and started checking them out. One of the divers on the boat was actually used to be an EMT with the fire department, so I was pretty confident that this victim was going to be rescued. And once they inflated the airbags or the O2 bag on them and checked for vitals, I ended the scenario, and it was a job well done. When everybody comes up, whoever's on the surface, you want to get a head count. All right, we're missing somebody. It took a little time to notice that. The 2 same guys that towed the unconscious, non-breathing person in, they also went down and got the other guy. I tried to get you guys in the boat, get some water or whatever so we could swap you out, but you guys did a hell of a job getting back down there even though you got 4 out from the person. All right? The only thing I got is I would have used the tow line.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of out of it, right? I was kind of out of it. Well, but whenever I finally came to, I was giving you like double okay. I'm good.
It takes a lot to jump in cold water, and it takes a lot to jump in water that has snakes in it, that has alligators in it, that has a bottom that you can't see, has the entire body of water you can't see in. And if you've never had that experience, then I challenge any citizen that would have an issue with that to jump in there and understand that the dangers involved in that if you're not trained properly, that you're going to end up being dead. And that's not what we want. We want our folks to be safe. We want them to go home at night. We have a job to do, and we just want to train them to do it the best they can.
Sheriff Ashley is very supportive when it comes to all different divisions and units within the Sheriff's Office. His goal is to provide the necessary equipment in order to get the job done. If we do not have the equipment, we're in the process of getting what we need. Of course, they've never done this kind of training with lift bags, and it may be something that we look at purchasing and having more of. That way we're well prepared to accomplish the task. Sheriff
Strain has always been very forward-thinking with regard to sending our personnel out to receive training from other places so that we can bring that back to St. Tammany, and it'll be a direct benefit to our residents. A lot of times people may say, well, why don't you just train in Lake Pontchartrain? You can develop muscle memory there. Well, that's partially true, but it is a perishable skill. They've got to be able to see what they're doing to know if they're doing it correctly. In addition to that, they also have to be observed by the instructor to make sure that they're performing the tasks adequately and safely, most of all. We can have the best equipment, the best dive gear, the best chains, the best lift bags, the best masks, BCDs, weights, fins, all of the dive gear that these guys carry, but without the training and the personnel that have the knowledge to use that equipment, it's worthless. So it's critically important that annually we have the opportunity to train so we don't lose perishable skills that ultimately could result in either the loss of life of a diver or possibly even the loss of life of a citizen.
I'd like to thank Sheriff Larry Ashley and his team of divers for their hospitality. Working and training with other agencies is beneficial not only to our departments, but especially important to the communities we serve. I'd also like to mention, on the days our guys were in the water temperature was in the mid-50s. In other words, it was very cold and windy, raising the level of danger to an already dangerous job. Once again, I think it's easy to see why I'm so proud of the men and women of the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office. Well, that's our story. I hope you'll tune in next time. Until then, as always, stay safe.
The St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office is committed to upholding the public's trust and protecting life and property within our community. We will utilize sound judgment, reason, and creativity to solve the problems we face, using proactive planning and responsive problem solving. We recognize the badge of our office as a symbol of public faith, and we accept it as a public trust.